Okay, there we go. Now we've got the correct source. Okay, now it's good. Okay. Seeing if we have levels here on sound. Okay, looks like we're up and running here. I'm looking at the chat here. Hey, Darlene, I see that you're asking what is happening. Where's Jeremy? He had to go back home to get some new medication because he was coughing up a storm, if you will, during the 10 o'clock newscast. And so we're trying to get this live stream back up and running, getting everything back up and going here with our severe weather coverage that we're continuing to keep an eye on our severe thunderstorm warnings that are ongoing at this time. And certainly that tornado watch that still remains in effect until 5 a.m. for many spots. So let's take a look at what we have with our severe thunderstorm warnings at this time. We are dealing with severe thunderstorm warning. Make sure I get the right source here. For Clay Center, that goes until 11:30 for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. It also includes a little bit of Morris County there as well. And we have another severe thunderstorm warning for these counties are not matching up with what that is. Let me see if I can try and get those counties to match up here. There we go. The Brown, Jackson, and Nemaha County warnings, that is for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail there as well. And we're really starting to get the line of storms to fill in across the area. You can see the outflow boundary as it gets close to Shawnee County, and those storms are starting to fill in between as well. And there's no weather when you click on the links. Debbie, I'm not sure what you mean. Reading the chat on Facebook. I'm keeping an eye on the chat on Facebook, so any questions you guys have, please try not to ask about cities. It's very, very difficult to predict and pinpoint exactly when a storm is going to reach your city unless it's an ongoing severe thunderstorm warning, but I'll try and get those questions answered as they come in. But yeah, we're going to be here for much of the night with the severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect. So Clay County, you are out of the warning that was in effect. Let's go, let me just get rid of the warnings altogether here. There we go. All right, so okay, so this is an area right here along in south of I-70. This is what's called significant weather advisory. These are for where winds could get in upwards of 40 to 50 miles per hour. And so that's going to be something to watch for as well. Because they may not be a severe thunderstorm warning, but they may be significant enough to where the winds would be picking up in that area. And I'm still trying to go back and forth between the radars here and showing up what we have. We have continued severe thunderstorm warnings for Brown, Jackson, and Nemaha County for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. Tiffany, why aren't we on TV? Because there's nothing to be on TV about. These are really basic severe thunderstorm warnings for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, quarter-size hail. They are not significant enough to interrupt regular programming right now on CBS to have to go on live TV for. We're not looking at anything significantly dangerous right now. We're not looking at any winds 70 to 80 miles per hour. We're not looking at any tornadoes right now. So that's why we're just here on the live stream and just taking a look at the storms. And we're going to be here on the live stream pretty much all night. And yes, we will break into TV when we do have active weather that could be dangerous, including 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts or greater, or of course a tornado will be on live TV. But we are certainly dealing with these. I do want to go back. I'm going to go off screen here and go back to the beginning of all my graphics because we are going to look at the different computer models on what we're seeing here. So you can kind of see the latest on radar here before it resets. Okay, there we go. There's the reset. So here's one of our computer models, 11 p.m. It's okay. It's not the greatest, but it's showing the storms up along the Nebraska-Kansas border, southeast of the I-35 corridor into east central Kansas. What we look for in the computer models, does it match the current conditions? Because if it doesn't, there's no point in looking at the models and how it's going to play out the rest of the next couple of hours if it's already off. But these models are indicating that storms will continue throughout much of the night, really increasing in coverage past midnight and even into the 4 o'clock hour, where it's possible some of these storms could be severe with a hail wind, possibly even a tornado, but it may end up just being a very heavy rain threat that could lead to some flooding before pushing out of the area as we get close to sunrise on Sunday. Here's another computer model. That's not quite as good as what that first model was, and I'm trying to remember. Let me go off screen here again to see which one is which. The one that you're looking at right now is our in-house computer model from the weather company. It's the IBM Graph. The previous one was the HER. And this one updates again on an hourly basis as well. It's not that greatest. It's not looking quite as, it certainly looks different than the HER, like the one I just showed you, but it is certainly something that we're watching for. I need to get rid of that one. That was from the last severe storm that we had across the area that I had in my show. But all these severe thunderstorm warnings that we have in the WIBW viewing area are mainly for 60 to 60 mile per hour wind gust, a quarter to possibly $half size hail. Nothing too significant. Of course, we are dealing with the rain, a little bit of the outflow boundary that you see just to the south of Holton. You can see that narrow green line that is pushing out ahead of the heavier rain. That's what's called the outflow boundary. And taking a look at velocity, and this is what we look at when it comes to if the red and green are close enough to one another, would indicate tight circulation and the potential for a tornado. And I'm not seeing that anywhere in northeast Kansas to where I would be concerned about any potential tornado warnings anytime soon. So at least for now, we are in the clear when it comes to any potential tornado warnings that are in the area. All right, so we continue to get updates on some of these warnings. So let me see what we have for the updated, and looks like it's an update on, well, we have a new Clay and Dickinson County severe thunderstorm warning, and that is for a 60 mile per hour wind gusts and quarter size hail. I'm trying to move this over here. And that is for Wakefield, Manchester, Longford, and Oak Hill on that storm. There is an update on the Nemaha County severe thunderstorm warning, and that is also for 60 mile per hour wind gusts and quarter size hail, and that is for Sabetha, Wetmore, and Goff. So a lot of these severe thunderstorm warnings that we have here, it's nothing too extreme. It's the bare minimum when it comes to the threshold for severe weather, quarter size hail, 60 mile per hour wind gusts, as we continue to update all these warnings and get new ones as well. All right, so looking at some of the comments here on Facebook. Of course, I know it's a very, very easy question to ask. When is the storm coming to your area? And obviously, we're just monitoring the storms as they progress into the area. I can't say for sure when a particular storm is going to reach an area unless it's a severe warned storm. Then we can kind of be able to track that as it moves through the warned area. But outside of any severe thunderstorm warnings, it's very difficult to know. Maybe a storm pops up all of a sudden to where, okay, let's pretend that I give a storm track for Lake Topeka right now, and we're watching these storms just off to the west. Well, they fizzled out. So to give you a time frame for when those storms west of Topeka would have been in Topeka, well, I would have given you a wrong answer because it fizzled out. Now, that does not mean that we're not going to get any storms in Topeka at any point in time. I definitely think we will. I definitely think everyone should get at least a tenth of an inch of rainfall at some point tonight. Many spots could at least get a half inch worth of rain, especially with how heavy some of this rain is. We're getting a lot of reds showing up on the map here, which indicates some pretty significant rainfall in a short period of time. That's why I'm concerned about the flash flooding situation that could occur tonight. And so we could be dealing with several flash flood warnings across the area early tomorrow morning. I'm going to go into our rainfall amounts and just show you what the potential rainfall amounts we could get. So this is with our in-house computer model through 8 a.m. and give it a second, it takes a while. Still showing the bulk of those storms and rainfall north of I-70. I'm not quite buying that. That just doesn't make any sense to me on what's happening out there right now, especially for areas south of I-70. Let's go to the HER now and see what we have going on with how much rain we could get from the HER. And through about 7 a.m., this is what we could get. Now, let me take it back to the beginning so you can kind of see the progression of how quickly rain may move into an area. And so by 1 a.m., still not a whole lot for areas south of I-70. But that rain really starting to ramp up as we get along I-70 to 3 o'clock. If this is correct, that could be some significant flooding along I-70 and, of course, continuing into the rest of the night everywhere. So for those that, that like to say, oh, well, we busted this forecast, nothing much is happening. And while that might be true for the severity of some of those storms, I am not saying that we are done with any with the storms when it comes to the rainfall. We are definitely still in line with getting a lot of the storms developing over the next couple of hours as we continue to watch as the intensity increases. Here's our current alerts. So let me go back to the current alerts. You can see the entirety of the WIBW viewing area in a tornado watch. And let me double check. So our western communities, the watch goes until 1 a.m. and basically along and east of Highway 75, the watch goes until 5 a.m. So basically for from Topeka to the east, it will go until 5 a.m. while areas like Manhattan, Marysville, Clayton, and Concordia, your tornado watch expires at 1 a.m. Could that change? Yes, absolutely. It could mean that maybe the western communities get extended, maybe the eastern communities are expired early. It's just going to be something that we'll have to keep a very close eye on. So as we continue to keep an eye on the updates from the warnings, because we were getting, it was beeping at me with all the updates here. We have a continuation for the severe thunderstorm warning for Brown and Jackson County, and that's for quarter-size hail, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Nemaha County added the severe thunderstorm warning, and I think there were 2 warnings for Nemaha County because there were 2 of those. So any warnings that are in this area or in effect are basically for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. There's nothing as far as any other significant storms in the area. All right, let's see. So as we continue to keep an eye on all these storms, now you would think that as these become more of a line and a big complex of storms, not isolated, you would think, and it is typical that the tornado threat diminishes during that time, but that may not be the case as what occurred on Friday morning in Nebraska and Iowa. It was just a big shield of storms, and there were several tornado warnings within that big shield. I'm trying not to hit the computer here. And that does not necessarily mean that just because we're not seeing these isolated storms that we don't have that potential for some rotation and the potential for tornado warnings to exist. So I'm not seeing anything on here, and let's go to the now here. What we want to look for is a very tight gradient, if you will. Anything that has red, which means wind going away from the radar in Alma. Green is wind going towards the radar in Alma. Anytime we get those 2 colors close to one another and bright, that would indicate a decent opportunity for rotation and a possible tornado and eventually a warning being issued. I just don't see that anywhere right now in northeast Kansas. So we're still doing okay we're not dealing with any tornadoes. Obviously, we're dealing with the locally heavy rainfall, of course, some of the quarter-size hail, and the 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts as well on all the warnings. And so that is certainly something that we have to be very careful about as well, but nothing that's going to be too significant for the area. All right, Haley, you were asking what the blue means. I would assume you were talking about the blue on velocity. That means just a higher wind speed within that threshold. That could mean some more damaging winds compared to the green and the red, but not necessarily in the form of rotation, just general straight line winds. All right. Yeah, it's been fairly windy across much of northeast Kansas, even if you're not getting the actual rainfall. In fact, let me go back over to the computer and take a look at some of the current conditions so we can kind of see what we have happening across the area. And let's see. Let's take a look at our temperatures. All right, so we have 80 degrees in Topeka. Obviously, it hasn't rained yet, so we haven't had that rain-cooled air yet in the capital city. 72 in Holton. We have 60s and low 70s elsewhere. Taking a look at our dew point temperatures, because anytime you have the higher dew points, that signifies a higher probability that there could be a possible tornado. Yes, you could get in tornado with dew points in the 50s, but when they're certainly well into the 60s, you have that higher probability because of that low-level moisture. Allowing for that tornado to form. And seeing these dew points high, but maybe not high enough to get that substantial tornado threat. And then let me go and find the wind speeds here. Here's a look at sustained winds. Nothing too impressive here across across northeast Kansas. Take a look at some of the wind gusts. Yeah, we can see along and south of the turnpike getting those wind gusts in the 35 to 45 mile per hour range. So definitely indicating some of those stronger storms in the area across northeast Kansas. All right, so let me go to, I'm just going to take one of my radar sources and not have that readout of the warnings, because sometimes it can get a little complicated when it shows up on those readings with the red boxes. All right, so as I bring this up and it goes back into the play mode here on radar, let's see. Okay, there we go. Let me go back to this. And I'm just going to save this scene so I can have this in here. All right. As I'm trying to sort of create some graphics for my show here so that I can show you what we have going on. All right, so we're seeing all the storms across the area without those red boxes and the readouts, so it's a little bit easier to see where these storms are. Again, all the severe thunderstorm warnings that we have in effect right now are the bare minimum when it comes to severe thunderstorm warnings, 60 mile per hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail, nothing too much within that other than that. And of course, getting the heavy rainfall, certainly some lightning, and we're continuing to monitor this area of rain that will eventually be filling in, potentially even within the next half hour, 45 minutes. All right, let's see. As I'm reading some more of your comments on Facebook, Scott, you're wanting me to show the surface map. What surface map do you want me to show? I just showed you all the temperatures, the dew points, and the winds. What else are you wanting to look at? All right, any chance of rain in Topeka? Yeah, everyone's going to get rain. We just showed you the rainfall map that the HER was indicating, where some areas could get several inches worth of rain. And yeah, there will be a lot of areas that may get a lot less rain than that, but I still think everyone should get at least a tenth of an inch worth of rainfall. Now, whether or not there's severe weather coming with it or not, that's another question on its own. There's a possibility that some areas may not get any warnings at all, based on just the recent radar trends on these storms not getting too wild or active across the area. But by no means are we out of the woods yet. I am not leaving here until the tornado watch expires at 5 a.m. for our eastern communities. So until then, we still have that threat. And, could the threat expire? Absolutely. But until then, we're just going to be on the lookout for these storms. All right, continuing the severe thunderstorm warnings for Brown and Jackson County for quarter-size hail, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. I don't know if you can hear the beeps and the updates with our computer updating our warnings. The Ottawa County is out of the severe thunderstorm warning as well. All right, let's see some of the more other questions. Yeah, so I usually try and show the updated computer models at the top of the hour because they will be updating at the top of the hour based on observations. So I can show it to you again, but they weren't really showing it very well on the current conditions compared to what it could be. So I'm not quite buying the short-term computer models as far as what could eventually happen early this morning. Oh, Daniel, did you press something?
I thought you wanted, sorry, I thought you wanted.
No worries. Right. Give me 1 second. All right, so as we continue to keep an eye on these storms, let's see what we have here. I'm just looking at the surface map off air and what we have going on with the situation across the area. All right. So these storms are not necessarily forming along a cold front per se. Eventually the winds will be shifting tomorrow and eventually we'll start to usher in the drier air by tomorrow evening, but these aren't necessarily from a cold front. This is from an upper level system that's off to our west and south. Producing these storms. So this is not necessarily something that we could easily look at with the drop in humidity or the drop in temperatures or a shift in the winds to say, oh, once you get into this situation, you're done with severe weather. It's not real. That's not really the case with this particular storm system to be able to know when severe weather ends, because I still think temperatures are going to remain consistent with the dew points all night and temperatures as well. And so it's not one of those situations where we're looking at a high situation of knowing when the severe weather would have ended. It's almost just like just watching the storms as they move through the atmosphere and move through northeast Kansas and how it interacts with the atmosphere. And if they don't necessarily become to the point of severe, especially as they move into the rest of northeast Kansas, then we would kind of know at that point that we're probably not going to get any more intense storms, including tornadoes or extremely large hail or strong enough winds. But we still have to keep an eye on it for much of the night. We're getting some warning updates here. So we have a new severe thunderstorm warning for Morris County. Again, quarter-size hail, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Daniel is taking off. You can watch him tomorrow morning at 7:30. He's going to get some sleep, and we're going to continue to be on here. Jeremy is kind of recovering from a cold and cough situation, so he ran back home to get some medication, and we're going to try and limit his amount of time talking. So he's not completely gone, just in case we need to save his voice for potential tornado warning. But until then, he's not back yet. But even when he comes back, there's not going to be a whole lot of him talking unless there is a tornado warning situation. So just an FYI on what to expect for the rest of the night. All right, so continuing the severe thunderstorm warnings for Clay, Dickinson County for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and nickel-sized hail, so that's not even to the point of quarter-sized hail within that. Dealing with some heavy rain south of Clay Center there within that storm, but we're certainly looking at, I do expect an increase in coverage of these storms over the course of the next hour or so, so we're definitely going to see more of that going on across the area. haven't had a whole lot of significant reports when it comes to severe weather for the area. Let's see if we can get some of the reports coming up. Let me see where the reports was. I'm trying not to back into the computer here. All right, so let's see what we have for reports across the area. So we do have a couple of wind reports just to the south of Osage City. Let's see if I can, let me see if I can get that to pop up here. All right, so just south of Osage City and in Olivet, social media photo of tree damage at about 10:15. That was from a non-severe thunderstorm warning, or non-severe thunderstorm in the area. Otherwise, that computer in the way is messing with the, let me try and get that back. The computer is messing with the green screen there with, all right, let me bring this back here. And all right, so now I'm going to try and click it back off screen because it's a little bit easier that way to see what we have going on with our other severe reports. All right, so Vermilion, 1022 at a 58 mile per hour wind gusts. We've got, Marysville at 9:45 with a 60 mile per hour wind gust there. And let's see what else we have here. Here we have Concordia with some hail, quarter-size hail. So you see a lot of these reports. We're kind of lucking out because we were expecting some more significant storms in the area to produce some much larger hail and even stronger winds. Yes, that is still a possibility. I still cannot rule that out into the night and even the potential for a tornado. We're not out of the woods there, but this may end up, I would not be surprised if this just ended up being 60 mile per hour wind gusts, quarter-size hail, and eventually a flooding threat for the night. It's kind of something that we have to pay close attention to, and it's just a tricky situation on what exactly it could end up occurring. And let's see, all right, so Jackson County is out of the severe thunderstorm warning. Just looking at some of the other reports coming in. All right, so Jackson County out of the severe thunderstorm warning. Brown County continuing with the severe thunderstorm warning for quarter-size hail, 60 mile per hour wind gusts. Looks like it extended over into Donovan County as well within that severe thunderstorm warning. So you can see the warnings right now are for the bare minimum threshold, 60 mile per hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. Hang on. Now we got one that is for golf ball size hail. Okay, which one was that? Sometimes it's been doing this all night that sometimes I get something on X or Twitter first, and then it eventually comes through in chat so I can be able to open it up and read it. But this storm down here in Council Grove, I'm trying to wait on it to come out within the warning there. All right, let me see if I can pull it up here on this map. Let's try and bring it down there on the issue. Okay. Oh, that says 60 mile. Okay, there's the golf ball size hail. All right, so there we go. That goes until midnight for Morris County. So that particular storm has very large hail and still some 60 mile per hour wind gusts. So that's the highest impact storm that we have across northeast Kansas right now when it comes to either wind or hail. And that is coming with the larger hail with the golf ball size hail with respect to that Morris County storm moving just to the south of Council Grove. I don't know why I'm still, okay, there it is. It was a little bit up. So that obviously is an impact in Council Grove, Willsley, Dunlap, and Council Grove Lake with that golf ball size hail moving east at 40 miles per hour. All right. And so if you're wondering about whether or not you can go to bed or not, you can either stay up all night like I am, or you can go to bed but have a way to receive warnings that could potentially wake you up or that would wake you up at night. A weather radio, that's the perfect way to get that to wake you up. That's very loud. If you have a storm call, that's also another great option that will give you a call on your phone. If your particular address is in the warning polygon, unlike weather radios where no matter what part of the county you're in, it's going to go off. So it's not geographically based, it's still county based. Of course, the WIBW weather app would also be able to alert you. If you have another app of maybe perhaps the emergency Red Cross app that you can have on there on your phone as well, that could alert you as well. So a couple of ways that you can get alerts that if you want to, you can go to bed, go to sleep, and be able to go to bed and just be ready just in case a warning is issued. Have everything ready to go in your safe shelter. Either put your shoes next to your bed so you can put them on as you're going to your safe shelter, or have it in your safe shelter so you can put it on, but have that ready to go. And if you have that all ready to go, in case a warning is issued, then you should be able to go to bed. And looking at, I'm not saying that we're not going to get any tornadoes, because I'm still here, obviously, and we have a tornado watch going until 5 a.m., especially for eastern communities. So I can't say that we are completely done with any possible tornado warnings. We haven't had any anyway, but based on these current trends, I'm just not seeing that happening. But that doesn't mean that in the next couple of hours we don't get something interacting with a storm that could start to rotate and produce a tornado warning at any point in time tonight. Let's see. What's going on in Manhattan? Well, we have that storm just to the west of Manhattan, south of Clay Center, that has golf ball sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts that, if that holds, could certainly make it into the Manhattan area by 12:15 or so, 12:20. And again, that is a storm system that is pretty strong and could be pushing eastward. Let me put the loop on it. There we go. All right, so you can see how it is going towards the Manhattan area. We have more storms up to the north, Holton, Hiawatha, getting some of the heavier rain as it continues to push to the east. Further down to the south, of course, we have that the severe thunderstorm warning in Morris County. That's actually the golf ball size hail one. I think the one that was in just to the west of Manhattan only had, let me see here. I think that was only for quarter size hail. Let me look on here. All right, it's taking a while to update. Okay, there we go. So the thunderstorm warning west of Manhattan, that's for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and nickel-sized hail. So that's not the one that has the larger hail with it. It's the one in Counts Grove and Morris County. And so, obviously, again, if that were to hold, 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts heading towards the Manhattan area sometime between 12 and 12:30. And again, when you ask about specific cities, I can tell you there's a better bet on telling you what could happen in Manhattan, because we're watching that significant storm and that severe storm pushing eastward. And unless it weakens, which it certainly could, it's easier to tell you what could happen in Manhattan. I can't really tell you what exactly is going to happen in Topeka, because we have storms down to our south that are moving east and storms to the north moving east. So how quickly anything develops right along I-70, it's very hard to know, and it's just going to be something that we're going to have to keep a close eye on over the course of the night. I still do expect storms along I-70, just a matter of when and how severe that they will be, but I cannot tell you when. I just can't. It's impossible to know. And we're not to that point with weather forecasting, weather technology, to know specific timing of when those storms are going to be moving to the area. We're pretty good in telling you the window of time frame to get storms, but I can't tell you specifically when there will be a storm unless it's an actual severe storm working its way closer to a city. All right, so as we continue, let's take a look at storms back off to the northwest. We're also watching another line of storms developing in south central Nebraska. We'll keep an eye on those storms to see how they behave, how they move. Will there be another line of storms pushing into the Concordia, Washington County area, Clyde County, Washington County area? That is certainly a possibility, or it may just stay up to the north. So we'll have to watch that as well. Let's see, it was beeping at me here. Let me see what that update was. It looks like the severe thunderstorm warning for Brown County continues. Again, for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail with that. And Everest, Robinson, and Willis, as the city is impacted by that 60-mile-per-hour wind gust there in Brown County. and that is pushing off to the east. So Hiawatha and that within that warning. That goes until 11:45. Let's see, there was a hail report of 1.5 inches in Council Grove. So getting a good report from that storm down there that did have that potential for the golf ball size hail, which ended up being a ping pong ball size hail, but certainly the large hail that did fall from that particular storm as it pushed through the Council Grove, Morris County area. All right, let's see what else we have here. And so I'm trying to go back and forth between warning updates and what you guys are saying on Facebook, on the comments, and obviously continue to keep an eye on these storms. Again, tornado watch continues to remain in effect for the western portions of our viewing area going until 1 o'clock in the morning, and areas along and east of Highway 75 for storms going until 1 a.m. All right, so we have a new severe thunderstorm warning. This is for Lyon, Morris, and Wabaunsee County. So the new polygon box there within that storm. That was the same storm that brought the ping pong ball size hail at Council Grove. Continuing with that warning for golf ball size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts moving east at 50 miles per hour. And that is going to be Council Grove within that warning, Eskridge, Allen, Admire, Bushong, Dunlap, and Council Grove Lake within that warning. Again, for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and golf ball size hail with that particular storm. So if your weather radar is going off in Lyon County, if you're in the Emporia area, yeah, you have some storms moving through your area right now, but you're not within the severe thunderstorm warnings for the northern portions of the county. It does not include Osage City or any part of Osage County yet, but it certainly could as it continues to push eastward. And we're also continuing to monitor the storm west of Manhattan with that particular warning to see if a warning is issued shortly for the Manhattan area, Riley County area for the 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. But it does look like it is weakening a little bit. Let's take a look at the latest on velocity and seeing if we have any possible rotation in the area. All right, so what we want to look at here, all right, so we're in the expiration of the severe thunderstorm warning for Clay and Dickinson County from that severe thunderstorm warning that did go until 11:45. So Clay and Dickinson, you are in the clear from that particular warning. What we want to look at with the colors on here is the red and green together in a very tight circulation. We're not seeing that, which means we're not in any danger of possible tornado warning anytime soon. And obviously that's good news. We'll continue to keep an eye on it. Could that change? Absolutely. We still have that tornado watch in effect. But as of right now, we're still doing okay from that and no risk of any tornado warnings. Let's see if we can get the reflectivity back. It's going all over the place here. I'm going to go back to the computer and do it. I'm always trying to make sure I'm not... that I don't drop the computer there and run into the computer. All right, so let's go back. Let's just go back like this. There we go. So let's take a look at all across northeast Kansas, or all across the region, I should say. And certainly seeing quite a bit of tornado warnings down to our south and to our east. So Oklahoma dealing with a tornado warning, western Missouri, a lot of severe thunderstorm warnings across the region as well with this complex of storms that is impacting the middle part of the country. Now typically here, especially in northeast Kansas, we typically don't get the threat for tornadoes lasting into much of the night like we could have tonight. I mean, the threat is there. Will it actually happen that we get a tornado warning? I'm not saying it will. I'm not saying it won't. I would not be surprised either way of whatever happens on if we do get a tornado warning late tonight or if we don't. It could go either way. But until that tornado watch expires, I'm not leaving here. And so I'm going to continue to stay here. And I was prepared for it. I knew that this was going to be an all-night event, that we could have storms in the area that could eventually be severe. So it's not really impacting me much because I was ready for it. I was preparing for it. Now, if you want to go to bed in your particular area, as I mentioned, that Obviously, there's no threat for any tornadoes anytime soon. We saw that in the velocity. All these severe thunderstorm warnings are basically for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and some large hail. So as long as you're staying away from windows, you should be fine. If you're going to bed, just make sure that you have ways to receive warnings while you're asleep that will wake you up at night. Your weather radio, weather app, storm call. Make sure that's not the tornado sirens. Don't have that as your primary source to wake you up at night. Remember, those are meant for people outside to go inside to seek additional information. You consider yourself lucky if you can hear them, hear the siren if you're inside, but don't count on it because it's not meant for you to rely on the sirens if you're already inside, especially if you're asleep. You may not hear it. So you have to have something else that would possibly wake you up at night on that. Let's see, no updates anytime soon on any of these warnings or any recent updates. So as far as the apps are concerned, of course, you have your phone provider, and the government has that app. I'm trying to remember what it's called here. It is if you go into your notifications on your app, whether it's iPhone or an Android, you want to go into the settings and go into notifications, and there will be a particular area where you have the government alerts, whether it's Amber Alerts, alerts for emergency, alert for public security, test alert. You have all those options that you can choose from, and you can have that. You can obviously have our WIBW weather app that will wake you up as alerts come in. The Red Cross emergency app is also a good one to have that you're able to specify the radius that you want to be warned for. I know every time I go to program weather radios, a lot of you want and suggest to have your weather radio program for surrounding counties, and I always say no, you don't. You don't want that weather radio going off more than it needs to, because it's going to go off if your county is in the warning. It doesn't always, it's not going to go off in your specific area. So like what we had the last storm at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night in Shawnee County, it was mainly impacting the western half of the county, and there was a couple times where it was being issued. Well, that weather radio is going off constantly. It's already going off way more than it needs to. So that's why whenever you need your weather radio programmed, or when you ask us to program it, don't just have it for the county that you live in, because storms can always increase in intensity or decrease in intensity as it moves into your area. So just because of the severe thunderstorm warning, and you can see that severe thunderstorm warning that was west of Manhattan has now expired, well, if you're in Riley County and you wanted your weather radio program for Clay County as well, but now there's no warning for Riley County, your weather radio was going off for no reason. Now it's not impacting Riley County, at least not yet, and it still could, but that's just an example of why we say you don't want your weather radio to be programmed for your surrounding counties, because it's going to go off way more than what you want it to. And but your weather radio goes off on county by county basis. So does our WIBW weather app alert. So if you get that Red Cross alert emergency app, or you have storm call, those could actually call you more specifically to your area. Depending on which one you have. You can then set it to your address on storm call, and you can set it to a specific radius of where you're at within the Red Cross emergency app. Again, I know you guys are wondering about Topeka and other areas that aren't necessarily getting rain. We're going to get rain. It's just a matter of when. I don't know. I don't know when Topeka is going to get rain, but we will get rain. And whether or not it's severe or not, that's something we don't know either. But computer models are indicating that everyone should get at least 1/10 of an inch of rain. It's just a matter of when. And it could be well after midnight for a lot of areas right along I-70 that have pretty much missed out on any rain or any severe storms. It's pretty much stayed north of I-70 and south of I-70. And I-70 is just this boundary that storms aren't impacting yet so far this evening. Don't worry. Storms will move into the area. It's just going to take some time. All right, let's see. We have a storm report from Council Grove for. We have $half size hail that occurred about 7 minutes ago at 11:40. And as we continue to keep an eye on these storms, I think if I remember correctly, all the current severe thunderstorm warnings have 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts with them, and up to potentially half-dollar size hail. I'm trying to go back and look at some of them to make sure. We have golf ball size hail, not Lyon, Morris, Wabunsee County severe storm warning. So that has the potential for golf ball size hail as it continues to work its way into that area. So we can zoom in on that and take a look a little bit more closely within that storm, because this is the more intense storm that this is the most intense storm that we have right now. And taking a look at that. This particular storm. Let's see what we have. Sometimes our hail map isn't that great. It doesn't necessarily match what we're seeing from the weather service, but it is showing some of that larger hail in the area of the warning. To just the east of Council Grove. Dunlap, you may miss out on the largest hail. Allen, it is heading towards you with that potential for golf ball size hail within, I would say, the next 10 minutes or so. So be ready for some very large hail if you're in Allen, and really areas along Highway 56 and areas to the north and even a little bit to the south as well. So it's getting closer to the Allen area within that storm. All right, so we got, I'm going to go back to the reflectivity because we have a significant or special weather statement. So I'm going to show you more information on that. Let's go back to, okay, there we go. So this is for portions of Dickinson, Gary, Morris, and Riley. So I'm going to read you what we have here. This is for thunderstorms that are extending from near Milford to 5 miles west of Junction City near Chapman and moving southeast at 35 miles per hour. For wind gusts up to 50 miles per hour and half-inch hail. So the southwestern portions of Manhattan, Junction City, Ogden, Grandview Plaza, Chapman, Enterprise, Milford, and Milford Lake has that potential, and that goes until 12:15. So winds are going to be picking up, at least for now, not to the extent of a severe thunderstorm warning, which would be at least 58-mile-per-hour wind gusts, but near 50 miles per hour, which would be wind strong enough that we would sometimes have in a wind advisory. So that's what we're looking at with that particular storm. We can zoom in on that and taking a look at, let's see, that particular storm. Come on. Okay, there we go. So zooming, where's my zoom out? Okay, there was a zoom in. So zooming in on that particular storm, again, that's Manhattan certainly getting some heavy rain out of that, and areas off to the west also getting some heavier rain. Even if I put in on the velocity, sometimes we can see some of the brighter colors would indicate we're not seeing a whole lot of bright colors within that. Okay. So obviously we're not getting any red and greens really really close to one another and really bright, and that's what we want to look at. Yeah, this does look like it's close to one another with the red and the green, but it's not bright, and it's not 1 pixel away from one another. There's a little bit of a break in between, so that's why I'm not concerned at all about any rotation or possible tornadoes within that. So let's go back, and let me just go back to here, reset it this way. This is a lot easier. That way. All right, so the severe thunderstorm warnings that we have in place right now, I'm just going to go over to the computer over here and just make sure that I have it all together here. So I have Lyon, Morris, and Wabunsee County until 12:15. That goes for golf ball sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And the Atchison, Donovan County is for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and penny-sized hail. So we still do have that tornado watch in effect for the western half of our viewing area until 1 a.m. and areas along and east of Highway 75, including Topeka, until 5 a.m. As of right now, according to these latest radar indications, it's very possible, especially for those 5 a.m. counties, that it's canceled early. But until it is, I'll be here. And we're going to continue to keep an eye on these storms. As right now, they're just producing some very heavy rainfall. Eventually, we could get some flash flood warnings. That's also something that we have to watch out for as well in the area. So as we get close to the, we can probably look now, at least on the computer models right now, and we might be able to get an update within the next half hour and the update after that. But we'll continue to keep an eye on that too. So there's the current radar. I want you to look at the current radar right now, because when I hit play on my presentation here on the graphics, it is going to go eventually to one of our computer models. And what we want to look at, does it match the current conditions? If it doesn't, it's probably not something that we want to follow as far as how the storms are going to evolve. So here we go. It's not great, but it certainly, as we continue to keep an eye on this, it continues to show storms in the area through the overnight periods. And yes, that is the possibility that could happen before pushing out of the area by about 7, 8 o'clock. And you'll see sunny skies by tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Here's the other computer model. It's okay. It's not the greatest, but it's still showing storms in the area through much of the night. Not as heavy, especially as we get in the 2, 3, 4 o'clock hour like the first model had. So that's something to watch for. But it's certainly showing a similar situation to where once you get closer to the morning hours, most of the activity should be out of the area, starting to get into some sun with the clouds clearing out. So again, that's what we want to look for when it comes to looking at computer models. All right, so certainly get some showers at the very least popping up in Topeka in the Shawnee County area. So zooming in on that. So it's all green, which doesn't indicate a whole lot of significant rainfall or potential for severe weather. I don't think I have lightning showing up on here. Oop, let's go back. Okay, there we go. All right, so there is lightning on that. So no lightning just yet in Topeka. I don't hear any I don't hear any thunder, but we're certainly getting a lot of lightning. And that Council Grove storm, Manhattan, Clay Center getting some lightning. Holton up in Donovan, Atchison County also dealing with some lightning with that particular storm. We have a special weather statement for Osage County, and that is for 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts and penny-sized hail. So if you're in Osage City, Linden, Quennamo, Melbourne Lake, and Pomona Lake, you have the potential for 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and still the potential that could become severe with 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, but certainly nothing too extreme just yet. All right. So we had emergency management just asking the weather service about Shawnee County, and their reply was Shawnee County is still in the severe threat with a severe storm in southern Wabunsee County, has had a history of producing large hail up to golf ball size hail. So just to give you an idea of what this particular storm that's moving through Manhattan right now and in Wabunsee County was warned back in Clay County for golf ball size hail. So it could certainly intensify again as it continues to progress eastward. And so that'll be a storm to watch out for unless storms pop up ahead of it. That's another reason why I don't like giving timing of storms that aren't a specific storm and a severe storm that is moving in a certain direction, like Topeka. We don't really have a storm that's moving into the area right now, but storms could pop up ahead of time. So yeah, I could tell you the storm in Manhattan, obviously it's going to take a while to get into the Topeka area if it holds, but that doesn't mean we can't have a storm develop out ahead of it. And so it wouldn't do me any good to give you a specific time. That's why I don't like doing that. And certainly we are getting the potential for storms at any point in time for tonight, and severe weather possible at any point in time as well. All right. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a quick break because if I'm going to be here all night, I'm not going to talk the entire night. And especially since Jeremy is still gone, who knows, he might have fallen asleep at home. Especially if we're not going to get any tornado warnings. I'll at least be here to monitor it, but there's no reason for both of us to be here if all of these thunderstorm warnings are just for basic 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and yeah, maybe up to golf ball size hail, but nothing too extreme. So no reason for both of us to be here until stuff starts happening. So I'm okay with that. I'm okay with him sleeping it off. He was really struggling during the 10 o'clock newscast, coughing quite a bit. that certainly he was going to go home and get some medication, and I'm recovering from something too, so I'm at least in better condition than he is, but I don't want to be talking nonstop because I am still recovering from a little cold and cough as well. So right now I'm going to just give it, until, maybe until 12:15 or so. Just I'll have this radar up, get a little bit of a break. Obviously, if something more significant comes up before 12:15, I'll come back on, but I'll keep an eye on the conditions, but again, we're not looking at anything too significant right now at the current moment, or anything that'll pop up in the short term that would be significant. But if it does, I'll come back on here on the live stream and let you know. And of course, anything even more significant, break it in on WIBW TV. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. So I think we're good for now, but just stay weather aware. And again, if you want to go to sleep, you can do so, but just have a way to receive a warning that will wake you up at night into the overnight periods just in case. All right, I do want to come on a little bit earlier just because of that very small sliver of southwestern Shawnee County and that new severe thunderstorm warning that if you're in Shawnee County, your weather radio is going off. But unless you're in the extreme sliver of the southwestern part of the county, you're not included. So let's take a look at what we have here on this particular warning. I'm going to open it up here. This is for portions of Lyon, Osage, and Shawnee County until 12:45. This is for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and half-dollar size hail. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on that so you can get a better look at this particular warning. Zoom in. All right, it's going to be for that particular warning. So again, not really including a whole lot of Auburn right on the edge of this warning. You can see Harveyville, Burlington in that warning. And yeah, Eskridge, Auburn, Burlingame, Scranton, Harveyville, Allen, and Admire within this 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and half-dollar sized warned storm. Now, there is a special weather statement that was issued for portions of Gary, Potawatomi, Riley, and Wabaunsee County, and this is going to be for winds that could potentially get up to 50 miles per hour and half-inch hail. And so the Manhattan area, Wamego, Alma, St. George, McFarland, Bellevue, Emmett, and Louisville. You can see that there's no warning within that particular storm, but it is still strong enough to still potentially produce up to 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And yes, at any point in time could become severe with 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts possible. So those are a couple of updates from there. So we're noticing that within some of these stronger storms that have had the history of warnings or not, that there are some strong winds in several locations. So it's not necessarily within those warned storms, but also around those storms as well. All right, so again, if if you were asleep and the weather radio maybe went off, if you're in Shawnee County, unless you're in extreme southwestern Kansas, right around the Auburn area, you're right on the edge of that warning polygon, you have no worries at all. You can go back to sleep, but we'll continue to keep an eye on this just in case. It may be just to the moves just to the south of Topeka, so don't be surprised if as the storm continues to progress eastward, there's another warning for another portion of Shawnee County and your weather radio goes off again. This is what I was talking about earlier tonight on whenever we go out programming weather radios and people want the surrounding counties to be programmed in as well. This is why we say that that's not a good idea, because we have that sliver of southwest Shawnee County in the warning. So anyone in Shawnee County, including Topeka, that weather radio is going off. If this storm continues its intensity, there will likely be another warning for Shawnee County. Your weather radio is going off, and the northern half of the county, you're probably not going to be affected. So already that's 2 times that weather radio is going off, and yes, it is in the county, but that's the reason why we don't want to program surrounding counties within the area, because it already may be going off more than what you want it to if it's not impacting your particular area in the county. Weather radios, I'm hoping eventually within the next 10 years could eventually have a GPS within them built in, and so they would only go off if you're in the actual polygon of the warning. Hopefully that's coming soon, but until then, it's going off if it's in the county that you have programmed, and whether or not it's impacting your particular city within that polygon or not, it won't matter. It's going to go off. So hopefully within the next decade or so that does change, but we'll certainly be eyeing that potential as well. So right now, I believe that is all we have. Another severe thunderstorm warning up to the north. I think that's for Atchison and Donovan County. So yeah, it's Lyon and Wabaunsee. See, did they get rid of the Shawnee County? It's not coming up on my list here on the crawl on the TV. It doesn't look like they did. I'm not sure why Shawnee County is not in the crawl on the TV. That's weird. But zooming back in, it is still showing the southwestern portions of Shawnee County within that warning polygon there, so up towards Auburn. And so it is part of it, but it's probably not going to impact southwestern Shawnee County anyway. You can see the heaviest of the rain and likely where the hail is where that is going to end up being. So it's probably not going to impact Shawnee County anyway, but it is in that sliver just in case it takes just a little bit of a northern track to that storm. And that is the only, most significant storm that we have, at least in the WIBW viewing area for now. Everything else is just dealing with some locally heavy rainfall, and certainly a lot of lightning associated with this. You can see that goes until 12:45 for the half-dollar sized hail and the 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts with that particular storm system that is impacting the counties for portions of Lyon, Osage, Shawnee, and I'm not sure why Wabaunsee is in that. I'm not sure what's going on with that. we need to fix that. I don't know why that readout is that way. Well, I guess it is for southeastern portions of Wabaunsee County. Sometimes it does pick up on another warning in other portions of the area if it's close enough, but that is the only warning now. So there we go. That's what it is. So as it continues to progress eastward, it probably won't impact the Topeka area, but we'll keep an eye on this storm that's impacting along I-70 just to the south of Manhattan. If that holds, that would be impacting Topeka as it works its way eastward. Probably not for another 45 minutes to an hour, though. But again, we could get some storms popping up beforehand, too, that we'll keep an eye on as well. And so with these storms starting to increase in coverage, they're not necessarily increasing in intensity, and certainly not coming with any potential for rotation or tornadoes. You can see here on the latest on velocity, what we want to look at is the red and green coming together to where there would be rotation and a potential for a tornado, and maybe a little bit there within that storm in southeastern portions of Wabaunsee County. Let me look at sometimes the app that I use, Radar Scope, has a little bit better image of that. Yeah, I mean, it's not. I mean, it is showing them together, but it's not showing them in a circular pattern, and that's what we kind of want to look at for the rotation. So we'll watch that potential for southeastern Wabaunsee County, but as of right now, I'm not overly concerned about it to where I would say, okay, get ready, go start going to your basement if you're in that part of the county, or maybe even in southwestern Shawnee County, to where I'm concerned about that for now. But it is the only thing that I see in northeast Kansas that would have that potential to potentially produce some rotation. So we'll watch that, but as of right now, I'm not overly concerned about that as of right now. But it is the only storm that could potentially get into a tornado warning if there was one, at least here in the short term. But that is the only severe thunderstorm warning at the moment, and of course, keeping an eye on that for the next 25 minutes within that severe thunderstorm warning. And again, that is for, let me double check, ping pong ball size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts going until 12:45, or half-dollar size hail, sorry, half-dollar size hail. And so that warning was issued at 12:09, so within the next couple of minutes, we should get another update on that particular warning to see if it changed at all. Maybe we get rid of a county, but we'll certainly, that's the only concern right now. And all this rain and heavy rain back out to the west, Manhattan, south of Clay Center, that's all it is. It's heavy rain. It may come with up to 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and then we're watching another area of storms that are coming in from Nebraska. And let me make sure I don't bump my computer to where it knocks down on the floor. Let's see, where's my loop? There we go. So as this continues to increase in coverage, you can see over the last couple of frames there, that really increased in coverage. Again, another reason why I don't like giving timing of when storms are in the area, because something like that could easily happen in a matter of a couple of minutes. So I'm trying to show different examples of why we don't like giving specific times of when a storm is going to reach your area, unless it's actually severe, unless it's warned already, unless it's within a warned storm. Then we can give timing of the storms as it works its way through the warning polygon. And otherwise, I really don't like giving specific times into other cities because of instances like that. We've seen instances throughout the night on storms fizzling out as it was getting close to a particular area. And that's the biggest reason why giving, all right, let me just reset this. Giving specific time frames for areas that are not immediately being impacted by a potential warning and it just doesn't do us any good. All right. So let's go back to the velocity and see what that looks like now on that particular storm. Let's zoom in on that, and let's see. It's not, let's go back, let's go to the now. Yeah, I mean, you have the green and red together, but it's not, it doesn't look, it's hard to say. It doesn't look pixelated to one another, to where it's close to one another. Yeah, it is bright, especially with the red compared to the green, but that is not certainly something that I'm too concerned about right now with what this looks like on radar, to where it could potentially become a tornado warning. Harveyville also seeing a little bit of that green and red showing together, but it's not to that point where I would say that that would turn into a tornado warning as of right now. Of course, that could change, but you can see that there's another update to that. I'm not seeing anything on here in northeast Kansas, including those two areas of potential rotation, to where I would be too concerned about any immediate tornado warnings being issued anytime soon. Of course, we still have the, let's backtrack. I think I don't have it in here right now. Going into that tornado watch, going until 1 a.m. for, let me get that back up here. Okay. Well, and we can take a look at the supercasts as well and see if there's an update to them. Tornado watch going until 1 a.m., so only a little over a half hour for our western communities, so we'll see how that changes within the next half hour, and then for 5 a.m. areas along and east of Highway 75 with that tornado watch continuing. But supercast still indicates the line of storms pushing through the area through the overnight periods. Some heavy rain certainly at times, and pushing out of the area by about 8 o'clock or so, giving us mostly sunny skies for the morning. There's another computer model's opinion and showing these storms continuing, not quite as intense with the heavy rainfall like that first computer model had. So it is certainly something to watch out for. And those these two models that I'm showing you are short-term computer models that get updated on an hourly basis. That first one was the HER. That second one was our in-house from the weather company, from our graphics system, what's called the IBM computer model, and the graph. Those were the two computer models. But you can see we're still under a tornado watch for the entirety of the WIBW viewing area. And in the next 35 minutes or so, we'll see a lot of the western portion of our viewing area out of the tornado watch. And so certainly by that time, then I don't know if it's going to be replaced by a severe thunderstorm watch. That's going to be something that we'll watch out for, but it may not be a tornado watch. So again, I don't know. I'm not, being that we're on here and that I'm on here wall to wall, I don't have time to look at the conditions or computer models or anything like that, because I'm talking to you here on the live stream. I don't know what the situation is as far as what the atmosphere is. Obviously the National Weather Service folks will be there, and being able to talk with the Storm Prediction Center, because they're the ones that actually put out the watches, to see whether or not they need to reissue a new watch, whether it's a severe thunderstorm watch or just get rid of the watch altogether. So we'll know what happens with that at 1 a.m., especially for the western 2/3 of our viewing area, on how that will play out. But right now, the only severe thunderstorm warning that we have right now, that's it. Well, we got a new storm report. That was, it's an old report. That was a 9:39 report near Hanover in Washington County with some strong winds. But the Lyon, Osage, Shawnee County warning, I still don't have an update on that since it's been issued at 12:09. So it should be any point in time now that we should get an update on that particular warning for half-dollar size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, and be able to see how it changes with the polygon and if a particular county gets out of it or not. But zooming in on that particular warning and showing that area of storms, let's go to the hail mode and find out where the largest hail is. Let's see, give it a second. Let's go to the now and starting to get into the Burlingame area. So if you're in Burlingame, be ready for that potential for hail. Did that come down to quarter-size hail? It may have come down to quarter-size hail on that. I thought it was a little bit larger than that. Let me see on here. Look at the text on here to see what it says on this warning. Okay, so for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail. Okay, so there was an update at 12:24 on here. So yeah, it's been happening all night. That sometimes it gets into our system at a different time than when it gets into in the chat that I'm looking at. So it wasn't in the chat. That's why. So Auburn, Burlingame, Scranton, and Harveyville are the cities being impacted by this 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and quarter-size hail within this storm. And so you can see how it's getting close to, well, now over the top of Burlingame at this time. And with that storm system there. All right. Trying to figure out what's going on with my bug and crawl system on the computer and showing up on TV that somehow the crawl was taken out. Okay. All right, so the storm has weakened somewhat, especially with the hail, but definitely if you're in the Burlingame area, getting that quarter-size hail potential moving through your area right now. And this particular storm goes until 12:45. So that is our only storm system, or our only severe thunderstorm warning that we have in northeast Kansas, as we may start to transition this more over towards a flooding threat into the overnight periods. We're not completely out of the woods of getting additional severe thunderstorm warnings or even a tornado warning, but this may end up being one of those instances where we're not going to get the extreme hail and wind that we were thinking that we were going to get from overnight, but we still have the threat, so we're not completely out of the woods just yet. So let's see, I'm just going over some of the comments that you have here on Facebook. I know we're on YouTube, and I could have both of them open, but I'm just one person here right now. Jeremy is, hopefully he's just sleeping off his cold and cough that he had. There's no reason for both of us to be in here if there are actually no tornado warnings, but one of us needs to be here because of the watching effect. But he wasn't feeling well, and because it's just me here, I am not able to watch all the comments. So if you want to comment on something, go to our Facebook page, because that's what I have here in monitoring. I apologize for those YouTubers that don't want to comment and ask questions. I am not on there. I have to make sure that I'm keeping an eye on the National Weather Service chat as well, on updates on any warnings that we have going on in the area. So I can't watch all of them. But some of the comments, those that are saying that you're missing out on the rain. This storm system isn't done yet. We're not done. We're probably halfway through. We're 50% done with the storm system. This is going to continue all night. So for those that say that you missed out on storms, we're nowhere close to being done yet. So a place like the Topeka area, not getting any rainfall. Well, here we go. I mean, it's coming. Emporia, I saw a comment on there. It's coming. This whole storm system will eventually be pushing to the south and east. Obviously, the storms are moving more east, but the whole storm system will eventually be pushing to the southeast, to where everyone's going to get rain. Obviously, there's going to be several areas that get quite a bit of heavy rainfall, and some other areas that unfortunately don't get as heavy of rainfall as maybe what you would want. The rain will exist everywhere. Now, how severe any storms could be, that's going to be something that we just have to watch out for. And we may be lucking out on this, which I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I was prepared to have this be a wild night, at least something, but so far, nothing. And I need to get a drink here, or I'm going to start coughing like Jeremy was earlier tonight. Give me 1 second. All right. So we are a half hour away from the 2/3 western portion of our viewing area to have that tornado watch expire. Now, could it get replaced by a severe thunderstorm watch until 5 a.m.? It certainly could. So it's possible it may not, just because all these storms that are in the western half of our viewing area, they're not really prompting any warnings. They haven't for a while. So it's possible we may be able to get rid of the watch. Well, we'll watch that in the next half hour. Excuse me. So Osage and Shawnee County is now in that warning. It'll be for 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and nickel-sized hail. Auburn, Burlingame, and Scranton within that warning that has updated for the only severe thunderstorm warning. And okay, it's a little hard to see there. Let me zoom in on there. All right, so there is the warning. A little hard to see with the reflectivity on there, but that is just going to be for, excuse me, the 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts and nickel-sized hail. So the hail has come down. Certainly very heavy rainfall in the Burlingame area right now. That's coming down very, very heavy. It shouldn't last too much longer, so I don't expect a flooding threat out of that. But if that continues to work its way eastward, Carbondale, get ready for some heavy rainfall for a brief period of time here shortly. Osage City, it may end up just to the north of you and not being impacted by that particular storm as we loop it. Take a look at that particular storm pushing eastward. Wakarusa and Carbondale obviously are getting some heavy rain, or Carbondale you will here shortly. And of course, Overbrook, you'll be getting into this activity, excuse me, within the next 20 minutes or so. So here's that tornado watch in effect for all of the WIBW viewing area. Area is west of Highway 75, which is the western 2/3 of our viewing area. Your watch expires at 1 a.m. along and east of Highway 75, including Topeka. The watch expires at 5 a.m. As long as there's a tornado watch in effect, I will be here. Doesn't necessarily mean we're going to get a tornado warning. I'm not seeing it, at least here in the short term. So it's very possible it gets canceled early. And of course, that 1 a.m. Tornado watch will obviously see what the National Weather Service decides to do. Is the watch completely gone, or does it get replaced by a severe thunderstorm watch? That remains to be seen here within the next half hour to see what happens. But until then, we just have one severe storm. It's hard to see, but in portions of Osage and Shawnee County for the 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. All right, and as I've been saying this throughout the live stream, if you want to go to bed, you certainly can. Just have ways to receive warnings that will wake you up at night if you need to be woken up. But it looks like we're going to miss out on a lot of the potentially dangerous storms that we were thinking that we could have had, whether it was 2-inch diameter hail or larger, 60, 70, well, we've had 60, but talking about 70 to 80 mile per hour wind gusts and tornadoes. We're certainly lucking out on not receiving those, at least not yet. I don't know what's going to happen. If I knew what was going to happen, I would tell you, oh, we're fine. I'll go home. We'll be fine. But I'm going to be here until that tornado watch expires, because until then, there is that possibility that we do have a tornado. So obviously, we still have that in effect for areas along the east of Highway 75 until 5 a.m. So here until then, unless it gets canceled early. But you can certainly go to bed if you want. But we'll certainly be keeping an eye on all this activity through the rest of the night. Let's take a look at if there's any possible rotation in velocity. Let's see if we can get that. All right, so yeah, there are a lot of greens and reds coming together, but nothing that's more in a circular shape, if you will. It's more of an elongated shape here. You got a little bit kind of here, but it's not really in that rotating type shape where we would find that possible rotation and a potential tornado being warned or a tornado warning possibly being issued. I don't see that anywhere. So I think we're still in the clear from any of that taking place. I think we're still okay from that. Nothing in the immediate future that would indicate any potential tornado warnings being issued anytime soon. All right, since I'm trying to reset the radar here to where it goes back to this with the this is the composite radar. We can either look at that or we can look at single site radar, which looks a little bit different. You can kind of pick out some more features on single site radar. I'm not seeing, and we kind of saw that a little bit of that outflow boundary there pushing through Council Grove. Sometimes that sparks off some storms, but it didn't really do so in that case. It kind of continues to push down to the southeast, so there is still that possibility that may spark off some storms at any point in time. Otherwise, we're just seeing those more widespread storms often are areas north of I-70, more isolated activity south of I-70. So that's why sometimes we kind of want to look at different radar modes as well because of that. All right. So I'm gonna continue to keep an eye on the radar, obviously with the expiration of that warning at 12:45 and that tornado watch expiring at 1 a.m. I think for right now, I'm going to break off from this, keep an eye on things. If I need to come back on, I will, but until I get an update on that tornado watch at 1 a.m., we'll go ahead and I'll just keep this on the radar so you can see what's happening. We're not in any real danger of any significant hail or wind or tornado threats anytime soon. A lot of it is just some good healthy rainfall, hopefully not a lot to the point where it starts flooding, but enough to giving us some good rainfall across the area. But until then, I'm going to break off for now, and I'll come back on as we get closer to 1 o'clock. I'll keep an eye on your comments on the Facebook Live, and I'll answer any questions just through the chat on there. But yeah, there's not a whole lot going on right now that we need to be too concerned about where I need to continue to talk. I am still kind of recovering from a cold and cough that I've had since Mother's Day weekend, and so I don't want to be talking constantly for tonight if I don't have to. So I'll take a little bit of a break and I'll come back on as we get closer. Okay, let's see. I got some new information here. We got a special weather statement for portions of Jackson, Potawatomi, Shawnee, and Wabunsee County. That warning is going to expire at 12:45. Let's take a look at wind gusts that potentially could be up to 50 miles per hour and half-inch hail. This includes a good portion of, the northwestern portions of Topeka, Rossville, Alma, Eskridge, St. Mary's, Dover, Silver Lake, Auburn, Hoyt, Maple Hill, Mayetta, McFarland, Paxico, Bellevue, Emmett, Dahlia, Willard, Potawatomi Reservation, and Keene. And so those areas, it's going to be that storm that will continue to work its way eastward that has that potential for 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts. And so we'll keep an eye on that to see if it strengthens to a point of a severe thunderstorm warning, but at least at this point in time, it is going to come with a little bit stronger winds relative compared to what it is right now out ahead of the storms, up to 50, but for right now, we are in the clear. That I know it's hard to see, but that severe thunderstorm warning will go away at 12:45 with that expiring. And I will take a little bit of a break and come back on as we get close to 1 o'clock with that expiration of our western communities being out of the tornado watch and update you on that. All right, thanks for sticking around here as we are getting close to that 1 o'clock hour, and we're going to get some changes to the tornado watch. So, yeah, bring it up. It may not be removed until 1 o'clock at the earliest, but it does look like Clay, Cloud, Dickinson, Gary, Lyon, Marshall, Morris, Ottawa, Potawatomi, Republic, Riley, Wabunsee, and Washington counties will be allowed to expire. Continues the tornado watch, though, until 5 a.m. for Anderson, Brown, Coffee, Douglas, Franklin, Jackson, Jefferson, Nemaha, Osage, and Shawnee counties. So give it another 5 minutes, and I'll show this graphic again. But let's take a look at what we have right now on the Capitol Federal Live Storm Tracker. Nothing severe. We just have some locally heavy rainfall in some areas, and some areas within some of the stronger storms producing 50-mile-per-hour wind gusts on some of the stronger storms. But again, all the severe weather is out of our area right now. There's a tornado warning down in southern Kansas and also northern portions of Oklahoma. There's also a few tornado warnings there just north of Springfield. But here in northeast Kansas, we are pretty quiet, relatively speaking. Of course, not quiet in the form of getting some heavy rainfall and certainly getting some small hail and even some stronger wind gusts on some of the stronger storms, but nothing to the point of them producing any severe storms. So we're obviously going to continue to keep an eye on it, and with a portion of our viewing area remaining in that tornado watch until 5 a.m., we are certainly not out of the woods, but at least here in the short term, I'm not seeing any storms that would bring any potential for any significant severe storms or tornado warning. We're talking about significant being more than maybe what just be quarter-size hail and 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts. Not seeing anything with that, but starting to get some development within some of these narrow bands of rainfall. So we're going to continue to keep an eye on this. So for those that have continued to say that you missed out on storm and activity, well, the storm's not done. We still have a couple more hours of these storms to push through the area. And based on the computer models, a lot of this, I know the individual storms are pushing eastward, but a lot of the storms may end up moving from northwest to southeast, so impacting pretty much all of northeast Kansas before it pushes out of the area, and that could also lead to a flood threat. So we'll have to keep an eye on that too. So we are 3 minutes away before I'll go back to that watch graphic, but until then, there's no point in staring at it until the counties that are going to expire get dropped to 1 o'clock. So here's a look at the latest on the radar. That storm system from Holton down towards northwestern Shawnee County, that obviously is going to be pushing through the capital city here within the next 10 to 20 minutes and providing for some locally heavy rainfall across the area. In fact, taking a look at our rainfall. Let me see, here's the rainfall reports here. Seeing where our heavy rainfall has been, we'll go to the 6 hours just to see how much rain has fallen. And we got a flash flood warning there in Missouri. But looking at some of the heaviest of the rain, just to the south of Clay Center there, which would indicate, that's indicating about 5 to 6 inches. Let's do, let me see if I can do a readout on what that could potentially be here. And let's see, putting it in the orange, that would indicate about 4 inches. Have another 4 inches out near, and I put it, I clicked the orange near Concordia. I don't know why it's way up there, 3.1. Let me clear all these. So that's pretty much where the heavier rain has been so far with the storm system. This is obviously going to continue to fill in for the next several hours through the rest of the night with some locally heavy rainfall that, of course, could lead to some flooding. And so, did my clicker die? I think my clicker just died. Let me see where my backup clicker went. It's got to be somewhere. All right, we're a minute away from the tornado watch being expired. So as we take a look at that, and I continue to find out where that second clicker is, I don't know what happened to it. We should have 2 clickers total. I don't know where my backup went. Okay, there we go. I may have turned it off by accident with the clicker. Okay, so we're getting pretty close to 1 o'clock here with the tornado watch expiring. So as we keep an eye on it, Just looking into what we have here going on. We currently do not have any warnings. Okay, there we go. So here's the visual help with where we're at here as far as the tornado watch is concerned. Areas along and east of Highway 75, including Topeka, still within that tornado watch until 5 a.m. Otherwise, areas out west, you are in the clear. That doesn't necessarily mean you're in the clear from any severe thunderstorm warnings. You may still get one. Obviously, keeping an eye on the flood situation. But as far as any widespread warnings, I think we're pretty much done. You can see these storms really aren't getting any strong or severe. We'll keep an eye on this storms up north of Concordia, up in Republic County as it works its way down to the south and east. But if the storms that are pushing through right now are not becoming severe, I would find it very difficult as the atmosphere has worked out already with these storms to all of a sudden become severe. The atmosphere wouldn't have been able to recover enough to where all of a sudden we would get these strong storms intensifying at any point in time. So that just gives you an idea of what we're looking at here. And again, we are still keeping an eye on areas along and east of Highway 75. Nothing in the immediate future anytime soon to where we would have any tornado warnings anytime soon. But because the watch still exists, and I'll still be here and making sure that we're still okay with any potential for any warnings that may get issued. But currently, no warnings anywhere in northeast Kansas. We just have that watch in effect. And so with that in mind, obviously, there's not much going on. We have heavy pockets of rain that are pushing through the area, getting close to the Topeka area. Manhattan getting some heavy rain, just the south of Clay Center as well. So unless we do get any warnings that get issued, let me see. Any warnings that do get issued, I am just going to let this stay on the live stream, and I will come back on if anything does get issued with any potential warnings, but there's no sense in me talking with nothing going on other than non-severe thunderstorms in the area. So I'll keep it on. If you want to stick around on the live stream, feel free to, but with nothing currently happening at the moment, I think we're going to be okay, at least here in the short term. But pop-up storm that could become severe would still be possible within the next couple of hours. So until we are in the clear from the watch, I'll continue to be in the background, and I'll keep an eye on the chat just in case you guys have any questions. But we'll just keep an eye on the latest conditions, as right now, nothing severe at the moment, but if they do, I'll come back on and let you know. All right, if you're still here, I am still here, but I am going home because the tornado watch has officially been canceled. It looks like the atmosphere isn't quite stable enough to produce any tornadoes. Very low risk for any severe thunderstorm warnings, but if we do have warnings, they would probably be bare minimum 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, quarter-sized hail, and we'll watch the flooding threat as well. So I'm going to stop the live stream. I'm going to go home, and obviously anything that comes up will be at the bottom of your screen on WIBW TV. Make sure you catch Daniel on 13 News this morning at 7:30, and he'll have the latest on what to expect for the rest of the holiday weekend, which for the most part should be generally dry, maybe a few hit-miss storms by the afternoon, evening hours on the Sunday, but once we get rid of these storms as we get close to 7 o'clock or so, most of the widespread rain will be done with for the next couple of days. So I'm going to stop the live stream. Have a good night and enjoy the much-needed rainfall, hopefully not to the point of flooding in your area, but be aware that it is still possible.